So we all know Kendrick Perkins is very impartial to the good old hot take. Really likes to state the unpopular, I guess, is the best way of describing this person. So he said a couple things on NBA Today, and then we're just going to react to it, and I want to know your thoughts on both of these things. So we'll start off with 4 days ago. He tweets his top 5 international players in NBA history. We're going to go from 5 to 1, and I want to know your thoughts. We can either go one at a time, or do you want me to read all 5?
Yeah, all 5.
All 5?
Yeah, bring them all.
Yeah.
So at number 5, he put Manu Ginobili.
Okay.
At number 4, he put Dirk Nowitzki.
Wow.
At number 3, he put Giannis.
Wow.
At number 2, he put Hakeem Olajuwon. And at number 1, he put Nikola Jokic.
Okay. I don't see nothing wrong with
I'm
the list.
perfectly fine with that.
Except I will put Olajuwon at 1.
I would put
Jokic at
I would
2.
put Olajuwon at 1 right now.
Yes.
I think in a few years, Jokic will pass him.
Yeah.
But right now, I think it's too soon to put Jokic in that top
Dirk
spot.
should be over Giannis.
I agree.
I'm fine with Manu being 5.
I think that can go either way.
I think Dirk's championship is way more impressive than Giannis's.
Yeah, Dirk is way more impressive overall as a player.
I disagree.
Right? Yeah, history-wise, yes.
Why do you? You think Giannis is more impressive
How?
than Dirk's?
In terms of the championship, yeah, Dirk's is more impressive.
Okay, yeah,
But
that's how you disagree with that.
No, I was speaking of like as a player overall. I would say Giannis is more dominant.
Yes.
I would say Giannis is more dominant. I think Giannis has more flaws offensively than
Has
Dirk
Dirk
does.
ever been the best player in the NBA in his entire career? No.
I don't think so.
No.
Giannis has been.
That's true. Giannis
That's
for a
true.
good
You know
2
what I
to
mean?
3 year
I don't
stretch
think Dirk
was
has
the
ever
best player in
been
the
a
league.
top 3 player.
Dirk
in the
was
NBA.
Dirk was a scorer. Giannis is all around, so I understand your point.
Yeah, Giannis is more of the
I
of the
get
face
it.
of the franchise. Well, Dirk's also a face of the franchise.
Yeah.
But is there anyone that you could have put at 5 instead of Manu?
Tony Parker, maybe.
I think Tony Parker would be the only one I'd consider. Maybe
TP,
Yeah.
Luka.
Too soon.
Not yet.
Hasn't won a championship.
Kukoc.
Kukoc,
Kukoc.
I call him Kukoc.
Kukoc, something like that.
He's so good, though.
He really is like
Who else?
Arvydas Sabonis, he didn't play long enough.
No.
so.
Yeah,
underrated,
Manu.
though.
I would say Manu.
Yeah, I would say Manu or Tony Parker would be the only other one.
Yeah.
Because Tim Duncan doesn't count. Because
I think
U.S. Virgin Islands are American.
Wemby
Right.
cracks that top 5.
He
eventually.
will at some point easily. And once he gets to his
Yeah,
prime.
Wemby cracks that top 5.
What I'm just more perplexed about, I don't understand how Perkins talks so highly of Jokic until it's time for the MVP conversation. I never understand why. Because the way Kendrick Perkins talks about Nikola Jokic, like he's up there with Jordan. Yeah, when it comes
Really?
to the MVP conversation, he talks about him like he's the next Christian Felicio. It's like, I don't understand. It makes no sense.
Who was he going for? SGA?
He voted, yeah. So the past few years, obviously, he's voted for Embiid. Actually, the year Embiid won, after he completely flipped the narrative, he voted for Giannis to cover his back, and then he voted for SGA last year.
I don't think. I think it's because his criteria on voting for the MVP is different than your criteria. He's not voting for the best player in the world. He's voting for the player on the best team that had the best season.
But you don't think? But what about 2023? Nuggets were the 1 seed in the
So
West.
were the OKC Thunder.
But they had the same record as the Nuggets. But in the year before, the Nuggets were the 1 seed clearly by like a solid 7 games,
Right.
and he didn't vote for him.
Yeah.
He voted for a 3 seed, or
I
he
will
voted for Giannis.
I will say there's probably some race bias with that.
Would you actually? You think that?
Yeah.
100%.
Well, that's the reason why he flipped the narrative in 2023. Hence why Stephen A. Smith has never voted for a white player for MVP.
yeah.
So you guys think it's a race thing?
Well, remember he said in 2023 that MVP since 1990, Jokic, Dirk, and Steve Nash were the only 3 MVPs that weren't top 10 in scoring. But if you go 1 year back to 1989, I think Magic won that year, and he was not top 10 in scoring. So it fit his narrative. But it does, like JJ Redick said, it doesn't exist in reality. Because
Yeah.
he cut it short at 1990 when
I also
plenty
think
beforehand.
they see basketball a lot differently than we do since they played, and also they're a little more old-minded. I want to say like they're old, but they're kind of closed-minded when it comes to some things. And
Interesting.
They're more
that's-
boomer-esque.
Yeah, that's
you will.
probably
Yeah.
Close-minded towards what?
just the style of basketball each player plays and what entices them to be an MVP in their own mind, because they grew up in a different era of basketball.
But here's the thing: Perkins thinks Jokic is an outstanding player,
Right.
Yeah.
top player in the world, but he doesn't vote MVP for him. Why is that?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
He might have something with Shaq where he thinks Shaq's the best and doesn't want.
No, but Shaq's
him?
not in the league right now.
Right.
I understand it, but best of all, oh yes, okay, I agree with you.
It doesn't add up.
I don't know. It's something that we if he gets on the pod, we ask him and we get the answer to it.
Perkins, just come on the pod, Perk.
Yeah, come on the pod.
He'll never say it on NBA Today,
We have
and no one's
questions.
gonna ask him it.
Yeah.
Right, because
It's
even
interesting.
the argument Shaq made, one of his arguments for SGA is that
Maybe-
he said he's a stat sheet stuffer.
It
I think I know why.
Low-key could be to stir up people and get more attraction.
Well, that's
literally
That's
what it is.
I mean, he's in the media.
because the goal for
That's the goal for the media.
From what I've been seeing with
Stir the pot.
ESPN over the years, it's about the Lakers, it's about the Knicks, and it's about stirring the pot on things. That's
Right.
all it's been about.
Yeah.
Hence why the Knicks had all the coverage in the
If-
second round and why the Lakers were being talked about during the NBA Finals.
If everybody's in agreement on the show, there's no point to having the show because you're debating against each other.
Right.
Hence why
However-
first take is a thing.
Right, but what kind of debate is it then when it's Stephen A and Kendrick Perkins and they're both voting for SGA?
That's why Perk isn't on as much with him anymore.
Right, but still he was on the morning, I think the morning he
Correct.
won. I think Chiney was the only one there that voted for Jokic.
Yeah.
But even still, I genuinely think Perkins believes that Jokic is the best player in the world, but conveniently forgets when it's time to vote for MVP. Because the votes are public. You can see all of them.
I will say, I think also when the camera turns on is a different type of person, but when it's behind the scenes, they're talking like what actually is their own opinion.
Here's probably what it is. So Jokic is one of those players like LeBron where it's like, okay, he can get another one if he wants to next year.
Right.
But is SGA going to have another season like this again?
He's 20.
And what
he's
they're trying to
26
do,
or 27. He's got plenty
I don't
of
know if
time.
he'll have another season like this again. And what they're trying to do is let's get him his MVP just in case he never has a season like this ever again.
Well, we're not going to feel bad. He's not going to
And he also deserves an MVP. So
I understand,
Yeah.
but we're not going to feel bad for a player. Just he's not going.
Right.
Just play good basketball. And You'll
Right.
be in a conversation every year.
Right.
And I think it's very
right.
telling where the arguments just don't add up. Like the only argument that Stephen A had was that SGA averaged 30. Okay.
That's
like
not-
there's more to the game than scoring.
Yeah.
Like, he even said the wrong side. He led the league in assists instead of steals. But again, still it's just like it's really strange, and that's why we try to always be as transparent as possible on this show. We don't
Yeah.
want to say one thing and think something else. Like
I mean, you can't say that. I mean, SGA did have a good case for MVP. Let's not say that there was no case for SGA. There was a case, so
I'm not saying
they had the right to vote for him.
Right, but I'm not saying there was no case, but it's just like the case they decided to make made no sense. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like I don't care who you vote for the MVP. It's just at least come with the facts. If you don't come with the facts, like don't say SGA does something and when Nikola Jokic did the other thing better. It doesn't make sense.
So do you think that their votes were racially motivated?
I don't necessarily. I think Stephen A's are.
Okay.
Because Stephen A race baits a lot.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on in Perk's mind because it's Kendrick Perkins.
Yeah.
But I think voter fatigue is a thing. I think when Jokic has won 3 of the past 4, should have won 4 of the past 4, but it's kind of the same thing. Like Giannis didn't win in 2021 after winning 2 in a row. Mm-hmm. It's just voter fatigue. They don't want one player winning all the awards.
This year, Thunder improved. They got 2 new guys coming in. If SGA improves even better with this team and is leading the league in scoring, and
how much can you improve after being first?
He
in the
can
West?
improve.
How can you improve?
No,
that?
he can improve his own stats for MVP.
He averaged 30 points a game. There's not really much else he can do.
Yeah.
It's just when you're going up against a center that averages a triple double.
I think
it's tough.
I think SGA's case for MVP was the fact that he completely turned around OKC. Meanwhile, in Jokic's case, you kind of expected that what he was going to do was great. You know,
Right.
You're coming off a championship season. It's like, okay, we expect him to do that. In SGA's case, it's like, wow, this guy really is a leader. He's really bringing in these young guys, and he's young himself, and he's changing their franchise, completely flipping it around. And look what they're doing. They're first in the West.
Right. I mean, he's only 3 years younger than Jokic.
Yeah.
He's only like 2 or 3 years younger.
This is also an issue because I'm trying to word it. He's playing in an era where another player is playing where we've never seen a center average a triple double. If
Or
this
even
was
just play like this in general.
exactly, so this is a whole different thing. Like you can't
He copied Russ.
If it's a whole different era where the MVP race is wide open every single year for one player or a few players, every year it's the same couple guys until someone steps up because they're so great.
Yeah.
No one is stepping up to that level right now. Embiid, if he's healthy, of course he'll be there with Jokic every year.
Right.
But that's a problem. SGA is a different position point guard coming into the MVP convo with Jokic, where a center's dropping triple doubles like it's a point guard's job, like Russ's job.
Yeah.
So it's a different type of player that we've never seen. It's a new era of basketball as well. That's why this is a talk that we keep having over and over, because it's just who's worthy. They're all worthy of it. And it's just, you got to choose one player. That's literally what it comes down to.
I think I'll close with
I
this.
guess race is a factor in a person's votes.
Right, and I think I'll close with this before I move on to the next part. It's been like what Jokic, Giannis, and Embiid have done over the past 4 years has been so historically incredible as far as regular season stats goes. I mean, they've been all-time levels of just offensive production specifically.
Who is this? Jokic, Giannis,
and Embiid.
Okay.
The three of them have been like at the top for most of them, keep surpassing their previous seasons. It's really hard to break into that top three because the three of them have been so good. So
it's kind of like inflation. It just keeps getting worse, even if you don't think it will be.
Exactly.